This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
And we welcome you to On This Day in the 1980s here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Jill Bain, I'm Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here on a Sunday afternoon, a hot Sunday afternoon, I don't mind telling you. I guess this is why, Jill, they call August the dog days of summer.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that it's going to split the population. There are people that absolutely love this kind of weather, and then there's people who are anxiously counting down the days until fall. I'm of the latter, if I can be on it. Like, I am ready for fall. I'm ready for hoodies. I'm ready for football. I'm ready for this shit to cool down. But
I'm ready. Cool down, yes, but I don't like it when it gets too cold. I'm not a winter person.
No.
I
don't mind the cold. It's the snow and the ice that I can't stand.
I don't like
while I'm driving.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like any of it.
I'll build a snowman. I don't give a shit. But I just don't want to be driving and stuff. But I mean, we got a ways to go here. We are live streaming this across Riverside.fm and the PFC Entertainment Network Facebook page. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you want to join the show, in just a moment, I'm going to post a link. Actually, I'm getting ready to do that right this second. In the live chat, you can... let's see. Now it's going to start messing with me. In just a moment, there will be a link, and if you hit that link, it's going to send you into a virtual waiting room. And then I get the notification, I hit a button, boom, you're on screen with us, and you're part of the show. Listen, we changed the format of this whole show, this whole 80s nostalgia project of this network has undergone quite a few changes. When you start with power tripping through the 80s, and then we made the transition over to What the 80s, when Jill came on full-time as co-host of the 80s show. Now, because of a segment that we had done on there, I thought it would be a cool idea to just completely overhaul our nostalgia for the 1980s and just kind of do a different approach with this. And then real life happens.
Yeah.
So while we do have a specific format generally with this show, in which case we would generally focus on the day that the show drops, we would go back and see what was happening on this day in the 1980s. And we will be returning to that format next week. But this week, and I know we're a couple of weeks after the fact, but again, real life happens. I was in the middle of a pretty extensive move, as you can tell by my surroundings. Jill went on vacation with her husband, something that they had really been looking forward to for quite some time. Time got away from us, and it would have been real easy to be like, well, okay, we can make mention of it, and then we'll go into our regular format, our regular content. But the week that we're going to focus on is what I would call nothing short of a week from hell if you were an 80s kid.
Yes.
Within the span of a week, we lost 3 pretty prominent figures that were mainstays of our childhood, of our lifetime. You know, for I still can't believe that this is where we're at in some aspects, and just the way it all unfolded. We're going to get to that here in just a little bit, but before we do, Jill, it's good to see you.
Yeah,
how's things? How was vacation?
Vacation was wonderful. We, like I was telling you before we started, we are already planning next year's vacation. We've already looked up the hotel we want to stay at and all that fun stuff. The place we stayed at was absolutely beautiful. But it's a little out of town, and everything we wanted was in town. So we've already decided we're staying someplace else in town for next year, and instead of only going for 4 days, we're going to go for 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, you know, because we're kind of eyeing a vacation for next year because, you know, if you follow me, you know, back in April, my girl and I went out to Las Vegas we went out there for WrestleMania. And we took one day during our long weekend out there to kind of explore the strip. And, you know, there was a couple of things that she wanted to check out, or I wanted her to check out because, you know, she's not necessarily a wrestling fan, but she went out there because she knew it was important to me. So, you know, I wanted her to have time to see what she wanted to see.
Right.
But you can't do everything in one day. So we too, as we're kind of planning our trip for next year, because Mania is going back to Vegas, we want to take some time and spend more time to actually explore the city. So I can appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
You can say, are you looking to go around the same time, or do you want to try to focus on another part of the year?
Well, he's saying like maybe September.
Mm-hmm.
But they also said September is a little iffy. It could be 90 degrees when you wake up and 50 by lunchtime. I don't want that.
Oh, so like Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, we've talked about it, but I told him, like, we don't have to make any decision. Like, we went at this time because of our anniversary. Our anniversary was 2 days ago. And we had actually come back the day before. And I had, like, I wanted to do something a little cool with, like, me and him. Our children are, well, they're not children. Our kids are adults now. So I had won a raffle last year, and one of the things I got in that raffle was a bottle of the 12-year Crown. And I thought that'd be so cool to open that for a special occasion. Everyone have a shot, or a couple. I don't really give a shit. And that didn't work out either. So,
Well,
but we had a great trip. We couldn't have asked for better. Great weather. The last night we were there, it rained, but we were already in our room because we were going to have to get up at like 3 in the morning to leave. So we're back at the cash town and kind of settling in, getting all of our stuff packed so we could just get up, brush our teeth, and go.
Well, I'm certainly glad you guys had a good time.
Thank you.
I saw some of the pictures that you had posted on Facebook, and I was like, man, I love when people have an opportunity to do something like that means something to them.
Yeah.
You know, because because of where we work at our shoot job, you know, any time away from, like, make no mistake, we earn every red cent of our fucking paychecks.
Okay? And every minute
single.
of our vacation.
If it's not a physical toll, it is a mental toll.
Oh yeah.
You know, so we do, to have that opportunity to do something like that. in correlation with something special like your anniversary. Happy anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
I love when that happens, and I love it when it happens to good people who actually earn and deserve that kind of experience.
Well, thank you.
So,
yeah.
You also have other shit on the docket, coming up real quick.
Yes.
In terms of, actually, I'm going to go ahead and put this up here right now.
Nope.
No?
It got changed a little bit. It's still going to be the same day.
Okay.
But we decided to work it a little differently.
Okay.
It's now going to be the paranormal investigation / vendor event.
All right, so give us kind of a preview of what we can expect.
We've got we're looking for more vendors. So if you know anyone that makes things, does not even have to be like in this spooky vein of things. There's one lady that does like, I'd have to look it up, but it's like these flower pot bouquet things. So we're still looking for vendors. There's like a psychic reader that's going to be there. I'm going to be there doing Reiki sessions. Judy and I are going to do a live podcast. And then from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m., I believe it is. I got to look it up. But I believe it's from 9 until 1 is when we're just doing the one session, paranormal investigation. $50. So the price has changed, everything. So figured we'd make it a little bit more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Have you gotten positive feedback from the change in the itinerary? Is there more traction?
So far, I mean, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that Christy had posted, because it was so the shirt thing, and I forgot before we started. She's got it so the next 15 people will get a shirt. And then anyone who buys a ticket is going to be entered into a drawing for a reading with the psychic that's going to be there, and a $25 gift certificate to Christie's shop, Oh My Stars and Stones. It's here in Saginaw. But it's still, same place. Just gonna be a little more opportunity to shop and mingle, watch the live podcast.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I mean, I can appreciate that, and I guess I meant to ask you about it before we came on the air, and then we got talking about airlines, all the shit that you had to deal with trying to get home, So it kind of, and then I looked at the time. I'm like, damn it, we need to get on. We need to get on the air here. David, okay. On our live chat, David Melbourne, who I'll tell you what, this guy, he tunes into every single live stream that we do. It doesn't matter what show I'm doing.
Oh, that's
whether it's Close to the Heart, whether it's Sports Real Podcast. Now here he is. he is a great guy, and somebody that I really appreciate, because he could be doing a million things right now, but he's going to check us out. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here, Dave. I really do.
Yeah, thank you.
But we are going to we're going to talk about more information about Jill's event will be posted on our socials as well as our website for all the updated information of what people can expect, ticket information, that type of thing. So you can stay tuned to our social media outlets and our website and get all the latest information. We're going to talk about the week from hell, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer on the whole thing, but at the same time, this is an 80s show. We have not been able to really pay our own individual tributes to three pretty prominent figures of the 1980s that we lost within a span of a week.
Yeah.
And we're gonna, give our fanfare, our tributes, why that individual was such an important part of our childhood growing up, for various reasons. Looks like Rachel has joined us as well.
What's up, Rachel?
She says, "Hi guys, miss you both." So appreciate you tuning in here, Rachel. We lost.
Rachel. Rachel's the one that made me find these, so that's
Okay.
on her.
Dave says Halloween is my favorite holiday, followed by the Super Bowl. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
This was one of those weeks, and I guess now is as good of a time to do this because we've let the dust settle,
Yeah.
right? And we've had time to process. We've had time to kind of put our thoughts, feelings into words that we can pay tribute to these three individuals. And I understand that also within that time we lost Connie Francis. And that's not disparaging. She just wasn't on my radar in that way.
Right.
I knew who she was because of my parents, but she was not what I would call an 80s icon.
No.
Right. But the three guys the three guys that we are going to pay tribute to were very much within. I mean, they were part of our childhood. They were, in our homes in one way or another, by television, and in one case by the radio. Let's start with this, Jill. We'll start with. Let me pull this up here real quick because I did make graphics for this. I'm going to start with Malcolm Jamal-Warner, who we know as Theo Huxtable on the Cosby Show. News of his passing was extremely heartbreaking in the manner in which he passed away.
Yes.
A drowning accident. And I know you were not necessarily a fan of the Cosby Show, but you didn't have to be a fan to know who this guy was. You didn't have to watch the show to know who the characters are or what the basis of the show was. I watched the Cosby Show every single week, and so when I heard this, I was really taken aback because he's around our age, you know what I mean, and it was sad. Like I wasn't over here like, oh man, I'm bummed the fuck out about this. But I was legitimately sad for him because, and I know Bill Cosby is a very polarizing, individual nowadays. And we're not going to discuss his legal issues and all of that shit. But I will tell you, when I heard the news, he was one of the first people I thought of because in real life, Bill Cosby's son was murdered.
Yeah.
And he had always said that Malcolm was like a son. Like that whole show was based loosely on Cosby's real life.
Yes.
In some regards. So Malcolm Jamal-Warner was Bill Cosby's son. And that's how he felt about him. He made no bones about that in interviews after the Cosby Show had gone off the air. And people need to understand, if you didn't grow up in the 80s, Thursday night on NBC was must-see TV. And the Cosby Show, for years, was the number one show in America. Like, you got no bigger than that. Like, so this guy was Bill Cosby was America's dad.
Yep.
This was America's family, and it was just I thought about him like, God damn, he lost his real life son in just a horrible manner, and now his TV son, who he felt just about as much as you could for your real life child,
Right.
has also passed away. So I don't know what was your feelings when you heard about the passing of Malcolm Jamal-Warner?
Now, your thoughts went to Bill Cosby. Mine, and I don't know if it's being a mom or a female, mine went to Felicia Rashad as the mom, who played Claire as the mom, like, because they did seem like a close-knit cast.
Yeah.
And, I feel like she's probably pretty devastated too. And I'm sure Bill Cosby is. Is he my favorite person? No, not really. But, again, not talking about that. It's got to be sad for both of them. Because how long did that show run?
God, like 9 years, 10 years.
That's a long time to work with the same kids and
Watch
not
them grow
have
up.
any type of feeling or attachment or bond relationship. And if just like if it was the reverse, where if it was either one of the parents that died, those kids would probably think a lot of the same. Like it was like losing a mom or like losing a dad.
Did you see any of his work after Cosby Show? Like, I know he was on a couple of sitcoms. I believe it was for the WB or Fox or something like that. He was part of a show on there, and I know he had done some movies. He had been in another a more serious TV series. Did you see anything of his work after Cosby Show?
I did. See, personally now, I don't watch a lot of TV, and I've never really been a big TV person. Honestly, if it wasn't for streaming, I wouldn't watch anything, really. But I did watch, I think it was The Resident. He played a doctor on that show.
Yeah.
I think I caught, like, an episode of that.
Okay. Yeah, it was way too young.
Yeah.
Dave had said on here too, way too young, and just an absolute horrible way for that to come to an end. I can't imagine the thought process.
Yeah.
And when I was sitting there really thinking about all of that, him drowning and stuff like that, it was just, a handful of years ago, there was a professional wrestler that had actually was a big star in WWE. He had drowned, saving his son from drowning. So he was able to save his kid, but unfortunately wasn't able to save himself.
And wasn't the same thing with Malcolm? He was in the water with his daughter, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It just goes to show, man, like water is nothing to fuck with.
Nope.
You can be the best swimmer in the world.
Yeah. But,
if you get caught up in the undercurrent or whatever, like the water is going to win, unfortunately. It's just so sad.
And that's one of my fears, is drowning.
Yeah. Do you go into lakes and pools and stuff like that? No? I mean, I will, but only to a point.
I went to the last day we were supposed to record, that Sunday. I had been at a pool party. I didn't even take a suit. Like, no, I'm not. And it's not that I can't swim. I just, no.
It's just not your thing.
No.
All right, I understand. Dave said that he also had some roles on the show Community and was a pretty decent bass player. Now, I had heard that he was a talented musician, but nobody really talked about that, And
I didn't know.
No, it wasn't until I was doing some research that he played bass and stuff like that. But it's also a testament, in my view, of how powerful that one role was, because even in the tributes and things, like they would mention his real name, but in bigger font, Theo Huxtable.
Yeah.
You know, or the actor who played Theo Huxtable. A lot of, and we've talked about this on previous episodes of 80 shows here, when you are dialed in and you do a role so well that becomes part of your professional identity.
Right.
And I don't know if that hindered his career. It obviously not, because it's not like he never found work again. You know,
right.
he kept himself pretty busy. But when you are a talented musician, but that still is overshadowed by what you did in the first act of your career.
Right.
You know, that's a testament to him, to how he approached that role. And, you know, he made an indelible impression. You know, I remember, like, I can remember some of my favorite episodes of The Cosby Show. The storyline centered around the Theo character.
Right.
You know,
who you know, when he got his ear pierced.
Yes. That one. And when Denise tried to recreate or make a shirt, he wanted to buy a shirt from the mall that was, like, at this time, like $80. And it was, back in the 80s, that was a shit ton of money. You know what I mean? And his sister said, well, I can make you that. I don't, you know. And when she did, like, one arm was way longer and the other arm was up here, and it was, oh, goddamn, it was so funny. So funny. But the whole ear thing,
yeah.
that was the best, for sure. All right. Now this one, I know is going to, you are one of the first people I thought of when I got word, and I had just woken up. I think I was up for a half an hour, and I went to check my messages on Messenger, and I saw something that said R.I.P. to the rock god. And I was like, what the hell are they talking about? At no point did I think it was Ozzy Osbourne, because even though we saw footage and it's gone viral, you know, that last performance, just a week and a half before he passed away, I remember thinking, watching that footage, Mama, I'm coming home. All right. I was like, man, we are on borrowed time with him.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize how borrowed that time was going to be.
Yeah.
But it's also one of these things where this dude he had an aura of invincibility. I was convinced that he wasn't human, that he was literally going to live forever.
Yeah.
But, you know, real life tells us that is not a thing. At the end of the day, he was still a human, and he got called home. You know, Ozzy Osbourne, one of the most iconic, recognizable, talented, polarizing. You can use all kinds of words to describe this guy, but icon is the one that really sums it up. You knew who the fuck Ozzy Osbourne was.
Oh yeah.
Well, what was your feelings when you got word of that?
Well, I had just started working, and Roy doesn't call or text me very often when I'm working, because he's like, I don't want to bother you, and he really can't hear shit anyway, it's so loud in there. But he sent me a text, and he said that his brother had just told him that Ozzy died, and I'm like, no. So I had to wait till I had a few minutes, and I looked it up myself, and I went, motherfucker, you gotta be kidding me. And I had told a couple of people after seeing footage of the farewell concert, I'm like, to me, that was him attending his own funeral.
I said the same thing. Yes.
That's to me what it reminded me of, like with his daughter getting engaged backstage. And have you, and just thinking about it, I'm getting the chills. Have you listened to the isolated vocals of him in that concert singing Mama, I'm Coming Home?
No.
Oh my God. It will give you chills. It's obviously you can tell it's him, but he just sounds so like frail, and it's almost sad sounding. How,
Mm.
yeah, just it. But if you get a chance to listen to the, and I have saved it on TikTok. I'll send it to you. It's like you feel it when you hear it.
I'm most interested in listening to that because I can remember watching the footage of that last concert, and and after he had passed, I remember thinking, did he know? Did he know that he had that little time left?
Yeah,
Um, because he is, he was front and center for so long for so many reasons.
yeah.
You know, front man for Black Sabbath, and then breaking off on his own and having all kinds of success on his own. And then you get into the theatrics of his presentation and biting the heads off bats, which that whole thing took on a life of its own. And
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that and the way it was presented. Like, I heard it from my dad when all that was going on, and my dad is not a hard rock fan like that. Classic rock, yes. He knows who Ozzy is. He knows some of the songs, but he wasn't a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I had asked for an Ozzy Osbourne a cassette tape, and I had made mention of it to my mom, and before she could even say anything, he comes out of fucking nowhere and he's like, "Absolutely not! Right? You will not be listening to that guy. He's biting heads off bats on stage. We are not supporting him." The same thing was said about Twisted Sister. The same thing was said about AC/DC. The same thing was said about Ted Nugent. I'm like, well, who the fuck can I listen to? I'm not going to sit here and listen to the Beatles for hours. Like, I like the Beatles, but goddamn it.
I mean, Wham was an option.
Fuck off, Joe. Why would you say that? Why would you say something so hateful to me like that? Why would you do that? On a Sunday afternoon, no less. I don't even know if I want to do the rest of the show with you, if I can be honest. God damn it. Who put you up to that? Somebody put you up to that, didn't they?
I do it to Roy all the time because he hates them too.
Oh, well, maybe he and I should get together and go bowling or something and talk about how much Wham sucked ass.
I mean, they did.
Oh, my God. Wham. Oh, Wham. Anyway, what's your go-to for Ozzy? What's your go-to song?
It's kind of hard to narrow it down. But I would have.
It is difficult. His library is extensive,
yeah.
right?
I liked The Ultimate Sin.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another one that came out. It's from the same, and I can't think straight. Because when we did the video thing, like the top 10 80s videos where me and Judy did the reaction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say Ultimate Sin was one of my picks. I don't know for sure. I know it was definitely on the list, but I don't know if I narrowed it down. because that video was cool with, you know, looks like you, and then at the end of the video it is her. Video wise, it's got to be one of my favorite Ozzy videos. Love that one. But there's also the video for Crazy Train.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of my favorites.
Can appreciate that. It seems. First of all, Rachel, don't be funny. Don't be funny.
I see it.
Don't be cute at my expense. Be that as it may. Oh yeah, you guys fucked me up. Huh? I don't mind telling. But it seems like when you look at Ozzy Osbourne, his career, it can be broken up into eras.
Yeah.
And like every era, there is one song from every era where I'm like, damn, you know, that's a banger, or that makes me feel, or takes me back to that point in time. Iron Man, I don't know, for my money, like that first opening chords, man.
Yeah.
Like if that don't get your blood pumping, I'm wondering if you're fucking human.
Right.
If I can be honest with
Yeah.
you. Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously iconic. Then his later albums, you know, didn't get as they weren't as widely received as his earlier work. But man, I still appreciate it. There's, you know, every one of those albums, there's one or two songs on there that I have on my playlists for one reason or the other. Then, you know, obviously he, like many people around that time, he lended his name and his songs to the wrestling space. He was in the corner of the British Bulldogs at WrestleMania 2, and he was the guest host of Monday Night Raw. That WWE actually put him in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago because of his work with WWE, and that's where a lot of these songs came across my radar. And I'm like, holy shit! That, you know, they're using that as a music video for a pay-per-view or something like that. Very recently, they used what was it, Crazy Train or War Pigs for the Survivor Series, War Games. Mm-hmm. And just the way they brought him in, they refilmed a bunch of him singing the song, but they put him in the ring and was surrounded by the double cage, and I was like, damn, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, like, that is what kind of impact that man had on the music business, on the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you about the Osbournes, the TV show.
Love it.
Were you a fan?
Yes.
Did that show diminish the aura of Ozzy Osbourne because we got to see him in quote-unquote real life? Because that has been an argument I've heard since his passing.
You know, I think it's a double-edged sword, but let me say really quick, Dave, you're absolutely right. Mr. Crowley is a phenomenal song.
Yes.
You know, I like the show, and there's other reality shows to me that felt very scripted. But I think the Osbournes were just in all of their chaotic glory. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't a bunch of bullshit. It was that one compared to probably any other one I've seen is probably the most authentic of what a reality show should be. And I watched a couple episodes, you know, since his passing. It's on Tubi.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I know what I'm watching at work tonight.
And I was watching, I'm like, I mean, Kelly obviously has grown up a lot because she was just a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Jack, too. Jack was the one I didn't like on the show for the longest time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you little bitch, do you understand who the fuck your father? Like, what the hell? What are we doing?
Right.
Couldn't stand that dude for the longest time. I really could. Killed me.
But yeah, like listening to it, and then there was one time Kelly was upset about something, and Sharon sends him in to go talk to her, and you hear her screaming, and he opens the door, he comes out, he's like, "Don't ever ask me to do that again." And I'm
The
like,
Prince of Darkness, right?
I feel you, sir. Like the whole bubbles. Like I've seen that clip a couple times on TikTok where they're getting ready for a show or something, and they've got bubbles, tiny little bubbles floating everywhere. He was like, "I'm the fucking Prince of Darkness. What am I gonna do with bubbles?" I do think like things that like how you said like his later stuff wasn't as well received, and a part of me thinks that maybe people did look at okay, like he sold out, he did a TV show. You know, I didn't see it that way. Like I said, I thought the show was great. I thought it was truly authentic. Like you could tell the chaos was just there. I mean, I couldn't think of a more chaotic household to to be in where it would be that enjoyable to actually watch from the time they wake up till the time they go to bed.
I think that TV show brought Ozzy Osbourne across a whole new generation set of eyeballs.
Yes.
They tuned into the show because it was like you said, at that time arguably the most popular reality show, and people were interested to see what was happening with this family.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew who Ozzy was, they by name, but they didn't know who Ozzy was.
Right.
Then you watch them, you see their exploits, you see what they're doing, and that enticed a whole new generation of people to listen to Black Sabbath, listen to his solo work, and became bigger fans of the musician side of the man.
Yeah.
Dave writes, the Osbournes should have been more like the Addams Family. I really feel that the fuck it was the Addams Family. It was an updated version of the Addams Family. I mean, aside from Lurch and all the creepy shit, but there was that aura. Like he was still the Prince of fucking Darkness, know.
Yeah, and you know, I know I don't. I remember seeing it on the Connors, the spinoff from Roseanne, where him and Sharon are in their restaurant, and they're eyeing Jackie as to be part of a throuple or some shit like that. And she comes over and she's like, "I'm not in the lifestyle anymore." And they point at Darlene, and he's like, "What about the boy?"
Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. He had a unique sense of humor.
Yeah.
His timing was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's what took people off guard. Because when you hear Ozzy Osbourne, the musician, you have a preconceived notion of what this dude's all about.
Exactly. Yeah.
One-dimensional, rock star, blah, blah, blah. And then you see him on the TV show and in instances like that. And his timing, whether it was accidental or not, was so undeniable. He was a funny dude.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated being able to see that side of him because it made my fanfare for him expand beyond Black Sabbath, beyond his solo musical efforts. Like, wow, this dude has his finger on the pulse. But then you start to think, well, this is where his marriage or his partnership with Sharon came into play because, clearly she was the one kind of pulling the strings with that whole thing, being the manager of his affairs, right? His professional exploits. And I don't know, they were the perfect family at the right time.
Yes.
To capitalize on the whole reality TV movement, and I really did appreciate that. Now that I know it's on Tubi,
Hmm.
Well, goddamn, I guess I'm going to be watching a few episodes of the Osbournes here later because I really did enjoy that show.
Yeah, it was definitely a good one. And he had his some downfalls in the media, like in the early to mid '80s. Like there was a time he tried to kill Sharon, and that was like big everywhere. And they worked through it. And then I know maybe in the last 10 years when it was announced that he had like a 3-year affair. I think it was three, with a hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was bad. And, so he had his downfalls in the media. And I think a lot of people, like especially with the affair, because that was a newer thing. But I think because like Sharon forgave him, the public kind of did too.
Yeah, that was. I remember watching the show at some point, and I remember questioning: is she really in this for him, or is she in this for the money? Like I do remember having those conversations. But let me tell you something. One of the most heartbreaking things about Ozzy's passing was the footage of her walking up with flowers in her hand
Mm-hmm.
and just like she was a wreck,
Yes.
an absolute wreck.
Yeah.
And my heart absolutely broke for her. And
Yeah.
then I felt like such an asshole for even having that conversation. God damn, I like that love
Mm.
is what every person should strive for.
Yep.
To find somebody who loves you that much
Mm-hmm.
and is so consumed by your being. Like when that time comes, it affects you on that level. That was so organic.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was nothing manufactured about that. That is a grieving widow
Mm-hmm.
saying goodbye to her husband.
Yep.
And holy fuck, man. I just, on one hand, I was absolutely angry that somebody took video of that and then posted it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, because I mean, that's as intimate of a moment
Right.
as you're going to get, right? But on the other hand, I'm so glad I got to see that.
Yeah.
And I think thousands, millions of fans needed to see that because anybody that questioned whether this was a gimmick or not, you found out real quick watching that clip. Man, God, this is truly the end of an era.
Yeah.
And just so sad. Just so sad.
I'm going to tell you, I may or may not have cried watching that.
Well, you're human.
Yeah.
Look, I had a lump in my throat.
Yeah. Just seeing her like that, just so broken.
That's the perfect word. That's the perfect word. Something in her broke.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You know who should do a family reality show? Weird Al. That would be fun.
That would, and probably in his home life, he's probably the most serious person you've ever met. Probably OCD.
It would probably kill the entire aura of the Weird Al Yankovic persona, But when you talk about what's that?
I was gonna say, I think it would be an interesting one. I'd watch it.
I would check it out to see if it was funny. I'll give you 2 episodes. I'll watch 2 episodes. If I'm not hooked by then, I ain't watching. But you want to talk about personas? We started here this week with Malcolm Jamal-Warner, prominent, iconic role on the Cosby Show. Then Ozzy Osbourne, icon of the music business, icon in reality television. And then right after that was the passing that I guess in some regard I never thought I would live to see.
Right.
And that is the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Now, what fucked me up about this is Hulk Hogan died on my brother's birthday.
Oh shit.
And I'm a third shifter. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
I had woken up because my son had called. And the ringing of the phone of him calling is what woke me up. But I didn't wake up in time to pick up the phone to answer it, but I was awake. So when I did pick up the phone after I missed the call, I looked at it and I was like, why the fuck do I have 13 text messages and even more waiting for me on Messenger? I can't tell you whose message I read first. I just clicked on one and it said, are you okay?
That would have been me.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked at, because you can kind of see like what the preview of the message is going to be, and it says rest in peace Hulkster. And I'm like, as soon as I read that, Samantha came in and she's like, do you know what's going on? And just the tone of her voice, I'm like, no way this is real. So I shot up out of bed and went on social media, and like that's all I saw.
Yep.
That's all I saw. Anybody who knows me knows what or how much professional wrestling is consumed in it had been part of my identity before I got into the business.
Right.
Before I opened my own promotion, before I started wrestling myself. That would not have been a thing if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear something like that, it really put shit in perspective.
Yeah.
Much like Ozzy, he was larger than life. He had this aura of invincibility. Hogan was billed as the immortal Hulk Hogan, right? So even though he was he was polarizing for a number of reasons later on himself. Even in the business, he was polarizing. He was looked upon as a backstage politician. But you know what? He earned that right. He completely saved professional wrestling and helped put it on a global map that wrestling fans could be proud of. He is the only guy who can honestly say he saved two pro wrestling companies, one as a bad guy, one as a good guy, in a span of 10 years. The influence that he had on the business is never going to be duplicated. It's never going to be duplicated.
No.
He was professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be a fan, but you knew who the fuck Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah.
Because when you say wrestling, all you mean that stuff that Hulk Hogan does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stuff. And he did some stupid shit. He said some stupid shit. He put himself in unfavorable situations. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, his contributions to an industry, to pop culture, to the world, is never going to be matched. There's never going to be another Hulk Hogan. From the wrestling space, I read all kinds of shit. A lot of positive tributes, but a lot of negative too. Mm-hmm. And some of it's justified.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about Terry Bollea, the man. Um, but I can separate Terry Bollea, the man, from Hulk Hogan, the wrestler. Right. You know, and it was without a shadow of a doubt. Like I watched a lot of wrestlers come and go. You know, and I take this shit personally. You know, like these are my heroes.
Yeah.
And professional wrestlers are kind of looked upon as real life superheroes. Well, in the comic books, your superheroes don't die.
Right.
I mean, and if they do, they come back in the next few issues.
Right. Yeah.
This was a reminder that even though Hulk Hogan was a larger than life, real life superhero, Terry Bollea was still human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there's a huge void in the wrestling space now. There's a huge void in my fandom. You can't see it from this vantage point, but this whole wall in front of me is all Hulk Hogan. Pictures, posters, figures. You know, behind me you see the Undertaker, right? Like that's my Undertaker wall. Over here is my Steve Austin wall. I got the Macho Man over here, but this is Hulk Hogan, right in front of me. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and post it. Wrestlers on the independent level, or even on the main stages of WWE and AEW, you cannot say that Hulk Hogan was not an influence on their careers or their dreams or their journeys. Whether you were a fan of his or not, you cannot, if you're being honest, deny what the man did for the business. Because if there was no Hulkamania, there would be no WWE now. There would be no AEW. There wouldn't be WrestleMania. There wouldn't be any of this shit. Yeah. The wrestling business, in my view, would have phased itself out if WrestleMania 1 had not been a success, which was anchored by Hulkamania. Mm-hmm. Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. That's what saved the wrestling business in the mid-'80s. And he would go on to WCW, completely turn that company around because Ted Turner was about ready to pull the plug on it. Mm-hmm. They were allowed to sign Hogan, and his name credibility alone put a legitimacy on World Championship Wrestling. He becomes a bad guy, creates the New World Order, mm-hmm. and just completely turns that company around. It became the #1 wrestling company in the world for a hot minute. And then later on, he would go on to work at TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, a smaller organization, but looking to expand. But by God, they were able to bring Hulk Hogan in, and the next thing you know, they're getting sponsorship deals, and they're on Spike TV, and their pay-per-view numbers are up just because he was affiliated with it. Mm-hmm. There will never be another performer, another athlete, another wrestler who will have that kind of impact on this business.
No, I can't picture it.
I know you're not necessarily a huge wrestling fan, Jill, but like certainly you knew and you were aware of the impact that Hulk Hogan made, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, I used to be a wrestling fan. Like I watched, I was kind of chuckling about this a couple minutes ago. Roy and I had been talking about like wrestling in the 80s, and I called it WWF. I know it's now WWE, but it was WWF.
Right.
And I think it was either my daughter or my son-in-law that said it's WWE. I'm like, but it wasn't in the 80s.
Right. No, it wasn't. They were the WWF up until 2002. when they were forced to change the name because of the World Wildlife Fund. They now in America, in the American courts, Vince McMahon won that argument, but in England, that's the one that sided with the wildlife people.
Yeah.
That made and then their argument was, which is laughable to me, that it created confusion because when people were going online to put WWF, they were being directed to the wrestling company and not the wildlife fund.
Right.
If that's the case, why was it the wrestling company had to be the one that changed?
Right.
Why couldn't the wildlife people come up with a different name? Because when I thought of WWF, the last thing that I was thinking about was a fucking panda bear, if I can be honest with you. Because WWF became the Coca-Cola of the industry.
Right.
People don't buy tissues, they buy Kleenex.
Right.
People, you feel me? Like, WWF became the identity of the entire industry, unless you were down south, and then it was WCW or the NWA. But
and I watched both of those.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's how big the business had gotten, and it got that big because of the involvement, front and center, the red and yellow, man, Hulkamania.
Yeah, I can't see anything red and yellow together and not associate it with him.
Same. And it's I don't know, like I was extremely upset when we lost Roddy Piper, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant. That was the first time ESPN had reported a wrestler's death.
Yeah,
was Andre the Giant. That's how I found out. Mr. Perfect, Big John Studd. I can go right on down the line. But holy shit, man, Hogan is. He's the only wrestler that's gotten a 10-bell toll 3 times in WWE. It happened on SmackDown, it happened on Raw, and then it happened again on NXT. Now, the Raw one was in Detroit. And yes, I was there for it. I did not know that they were going to do that. Because before that, it would only be done once. You know, on that first show after a passing, on somebody that significant, they would have the entire roster out on the stage. Somebody used to be Vince McMahon, but now it's Triple H. Would say a little something, then they would toll the bell 10 times. Samantha and I went to Monday Night Raw at Little Caesars Arena, and right before they went on the air, I started seeing the roster come out and line up on stage. I'm like, there ain't no fucking way they're doing this again. There's no way. It's never been done before. But then they put the graphic up on the screen, and that's what got me. When I saw his dates, birth date, end date, I was like, that's what gutted me, you know. That's what put everything in perspective. Like, this is real fucking life. And I have no problem in admitting I shed more than a couple of tears over the course of those first few days.
Yeah.
And in Detroit, I wasn't able to see Hogan get inducted in the Hall of Fame. I had seen him live in person, and every time I watched him live in person, he's lost. I never saw him win a match. Lost to The Undertaker at the Survivor Series, lost the tag team titles to a couple of Canadians. In 2000, lost to Sting in a cage match at the Palace. I never saw him win a fucking match. But I was so grateful that I was in attendance for his 10 bell. And it's going to be one of those things I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
In terms of my fandom.
Yeah,
and,
I know. I wasn't even out of bed yet. I rolled over, picked up my phone, checked the time, and went on Facebook real quick, and that was the first thing that popped up. And I immediately went to Messenger and said, "Are you okay?"
And I wasn't. If I could be like, I
You
was.
even responded with no.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't. I had already gone into the day heavy. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, it was my brother's birthday, and so I was already heavy-hearted, and I think that's why it took me a minute to process what was happening, and on the day it was happening,
Yeah.
and like Sam, she she, she knew she knew it was going to be rough, and she's while we were talking that day, she's like, I wanted nothing more than this not to happen on this day, because I already knew you were heavily in the fields,
Yeah.
But it's just, it's one of those things, man. It puts life in perspective, and it forces us to reevaluate life and to make sure that we let our loved ones know what they mean to us, because
Absolutely.
we're not guaranteed tomorrow, man. So if there's a silver lining in any of this, um, we can go back in time and YouTube and Peacock and Netflix and all this other shit. His entire career is there laid out, and I will always be very appreciative of what his contributions were. They literally molded a good part of who and what I am at 49 years old. Yeah, my space here looks like something out of 40-year-old version. It looks like a big kid's room. But you know what? This is who the fuck I am.
Right.
And a part of that was forged by this incredible movement called Hulkamania. And so I have, and I will continue. There are certain days in the year. Those are my Hogan days. January 23rd, that's the day he won his first WWF, WWE World title. Tomorrow, as we're recording this, August 11th, is his birthday. And on these days, I am decked out in Hogan swag as my fandom, my tribute. And now, obviously, this year it's going to be a little difficult, a little different.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, I guess, as they say.
Yeah. I mean, that week was definitely a horrible week for anyone that's a Gen X. I mean, a lot of other people for sure, but those were the ones we grew up with. And I was talking to someone at work, and his response was, "Well, I didn't know him." No, and I saw something else today on Facebook, and I almost posted it, and I got busy doing something. I think it was shopping. I have an issue with like perfumes, colognes, body sprays, and I'm looking for the certain one. So I told Judy, I'm like, let's go shopping. So that's what I had to go to the store for. But it was something about, yes, we don't know these people, whether it's an actor, musician, wrestler, politician, which, but you don't know them. But like a musician, a lot of their songs, I know what's happened with me, where like after my mom passed, it was listening to a lot of the songs that she liked. And I swear to God, if I force myself one more time to listen to Electric Avenue, I am going to put toothpicks under my toenails and kick the fucking wall.
Oh my goodness.
But after she died, I wanted to listen to what reminded me of her. Well, I don't want to. Like that song, I've heard it enough. But I mean, there's other songs that I forgot she liked until I hear it. But those are the people who get you through a shitty day, a shitty week, get you through a shitty breakup, the loss of a loved one. So, do we know them personally? No. But we know their words. We know their heart. Their so that's why like people like you and I who have never met Ozzy or Hulk Hogan or Malcolm Jamal-Warner, we mourn them because they've got us through different times in our life. And I get some people like you've never met them, you don't know. Yeah, well, no, but neither do you. You obviously
Right.
didn't need them to get through a rough time.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
Thank you.
Just you know, we it just it's a testament to what these people did with their lives that impacted and influenced others.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ozzy from a music space, Hogan. You know, the training, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, believe in yourself. Like I lived by that shit. You know, and it's that's when you know you've done something special,
Mm-hmm.
when you have made that kind of impact that's going to be paid a tribute to or immortalized in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, regardless of who it is we're talking about, this, you know, it's important to pay your own homage, and just a way to say thank you for getting me through that shitty part of my life. Thank you for or being there to lay the soundtrack of such a crucial part of my upbringing, or thank you for inspiring me to keep going forward when I felt like I couldn't get up off the ground. It's, you know, just shit like that.
Yeah.
And it takes special people who rise above the entire industry. And you know, in the case of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, that was certainly the case. So, we certainly do appreciate everybody tuning in here today to be a part of this live stream. We try to keep things as light as possible given the topic here. I promise you next week will be way lighter than this. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't know what kind of topics we're going to be looking at when we focus on this day in the 1980s next Wednesday. So we'll have to. I guess I should kind of curb that. But what I will tell you is we won't be talking about a week from hell. Okay.
No.
So we try to keep it light. We had a few ha moments, a few chuckles.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a chuckle on a Sunday. I do need to make mention though, as a programming note, this week's Fatal 4-Way is not going to be on ONTV. We are going to be, the show's still going on. We're going to go live at 6 o'clock, but we're going to do it across the platforms here on the PFC network, right here on Riverside.fm, the PFC network Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. Same time, just a different avenue of where you can watch it. And of course, as always with all of our live streams, you can join the show live as it's happening in progress, or you can correspond with us through the live chat. So stay tuned for all of our socials for all the latest information on that show, the stuff that Jill's got going on the 23rd of August. And listen, we're 5 days away from the launch of the fall merchandise lineup.
I know. I was looking at that today. I'm like, oh, we're very close.
Very close. Actually, members of the PFC family, you guys are going to get the link 2 days before. So it'll be live. It just won't be public. So you can get a preview and you can go and order your shit before it's available to the general public. I don't know why, but I got a notification that football jerseys and the varsity jackets are, because of the printer that makes them, they're limited in different colors. So I'm like, oh hell, fuck no. So that's why I'm like, all right, because the jerseys are cool. I've got a cart ready to roll if I could be honest with you. But I want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to order stuff before we make the public launch of the merchandise line. But stay tuned to pfcnetwork.net for all of that information as well. Jill, anything else you want to say before we hop in the DeLorean and get the fuck out of here?
No. Just that now that, because I knew this conversation, this topic was coming, and because it was a heavier topic, kind of glad we made it through.
Yeah. Listen, we would have been doing ourselves a great disservice if we didn't address this.
Right.
And it was too big to just mention it in passing.
Yeah. There is one more thing, and I feel like if I don't mention this and Judy does watch it later, she's gonna be like, "Mom, what the fuck?" I believe he got his start in the late '80s on a soap opera, and then he went on like in late '90s, early 2000s, and became big there. But also in the beginning of the month, Julian McMahon passed away, and Judy was devastated. She watched him on the show Charmed.
Yeah.
And he played a love interest of one of the sisters, and like I had seen him on the soap opera years before, and I was like, I think they could have did more with them because he seemed to be pretty good. But we both kind of fell in love with him on Charmed, even though he played a demon. It's a whole thing. And
I'll
then,
take your word for it.
and then he was on the show Nip Tuck and Fantastic Four. So I thought for Judy, I would make sure, because I believe he did get his start in the late '80s. I would mention Julian McMahon for her and his passing. She was devastated. Jason, she was devastated.
Listen, I can understand. It's one of those things, that gentleman reached out and what he did resonated. It mattered. So it doesn't matter if it's obviously it went under my radar because I don't want to be disparaging, but with everything else going on, it was easy to get that overshadowed, and
right.
That's not right at all. But I can appreciate that. So thank you for mentioning that, and I am sorry to Judy that she had to feel that,
Yeah.
But again, it's a testament to what the guy brought to the table. Well, all right. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and check us out over on Facebook and on TikTok and on Twitter and pfcnetwork.net. With that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we will see you next week right here on this day in the 1980s here on the PFC Entertainment Network.